I think if we're thinking about free will and determinism, obviously it's a big subject, okay. Now let's say that free will came out of random events happening in the brain, quantum events. Quantum events are those that you can't predict. You don't know, let's take a radioisotope and every beta emission, that's every particle that comes out of the isotope, you cannot predict exactly when that's going to happen. Okay, it's unpredictable as a quantum event. Let's say the brain free will works on that kind of principle. You really wouldn't have free will. What you'd have is randomness. It would be a very scary society if you really lived in that kind of society, because you wouldn't know what anyone was going to do next. And actually people are pretty consistent. You know, they actually behave in very similar kind of ways, pretty consistent most of the time, especially commuters who go up to London every day. They catch the 8:15 every day. You know, I will predict they're going to leave the house at 8 o'clock, 8:02 to get there on time. So people are kind of predictable. They go to school at a certain time, they behave in a certain way. Naughty people are naughty, nice, you know. And so I think the quantum brain idea is doesn't fit very well with what we know about brains and what we know about people. So I think myself, I believe that the brain works in a consistent way. It works through chemistry and neurochemistry and through synaptic connections and things that we can describe as scientists, and we can measure the brain waves. I think that even if we had a complete description of all those events, our free will would still be completely intact, okay? What we have here is a very, very, very complex machine that we don't fully understand by any means, that actually generates free will in a way we don't fully understand, but which is our primary reality of our lives. We believe in free will because it's the primary experience that we have.
Our science doesn't get us there. And I can give you an example of that. That, you know, let's supposing that we had a very able neuroscientist who had electrodes in our brains as if we were experimental monkeys, and was recording every single electrical impulse, and alongside there was a neurochemist recording every single movement of transmitting substances in the brain, and we were all looking at the colour red. We still, even if the electrical impulses are the same, we still do not know whether you and I, or you and I, experience the same thing. And so it's not a question of being unscientific. I think it's a question of there is a limit to what science can tell us about the way the brain works. And so there is space for emergent properties which are beyond the investigative ability of science. And again, I emphasize, I'm not trying to invent a God of the gaps here. I'm simply saying that science recognizes its limitations.